Project Cars 3. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Journey from weekend warrior to racing legend and experience the thrill and emotion of authentic racing. Own, upgrade and personalise hundreds of cars. Customise your driver. Is that what you call it? Tailor every setting and play the way you want in your ultimate driver journey. Unless, of course, you want to play it as a sim racer. Sorry this review is late, guys, but I didn't get a key despite asking for one, and despite my reviews of Project Cars 1 and 2 both getting well over 100,000 views and me loving both of them. So I immediately thought there's something wrong here because, hey, I'm one of their biggest fans. As always, let's have a quick look at the graphical options. Now, it took me 10 minutes. Actually, that's a lie. It took me 20 minutes to find the fuckers, because this is a console port, guys. And no, I'm not going to play the console port song. A console port. The devs don't care in a console port. Random frame drops, yes please. Back, you said you weren't going to... It's a console port, guys. You can tell it's made... How can you tell? There's a simple way you can always tell if a game is built for consoles. The opening screen will say, press enter to continue. And then you'll be thrown straight into the game without even getting a chance to set up anything such as, you know, minor things like fucking controls and graphics and audio. It just threw you straight in, and you just had to just kind of work your way through the absolutely awful interface system that hasn't improved at all since. In fact, you know what? I couldn't even find out how to escape the fucking game. I had to press Alt and F4 just to actually escape the game. Now, after about 20 minutes, I found a different menu that actually had the graphical options in it, and I also found out how to escape the game, so it got better. So here's the graphical options. Yeah, there's a good splattering of them, and I put everything on to maximum, and it still looked like a dog shaving fucking arsehole, guys. Why? It's 2020. We have beautiful graphics in games. This is a £50 fucking game, guys, and it looks worse than Project Cars 2. What's going on? Have the developers just thought, oh, fuck it, just fuck it, graphic, fuck that, man. Oh, pit stops, oh, fuck off, tell you where, go, yes, can't be bothered, tell you where, petrol, what, no, we don't want any petrol, what's for dinner? Now, obviously, guys, that's not true, and I'm getting tangented. So let's get back to the graphics. The game looks awful. It doesn't run well in VR either. I mean, it just didn't. I was down to 20 frames a second, sometimes in VR, getting usually around about 40. You switch VR off, it'll go up to 60. But it still just doesn't look right. The rain looks awful as well, and it acts like ice. It's kind of crazy. But I think what's happened here, guys, is they've just give up on sim racing, and they've just decided, bollocks, let's just go full on into arcade, and that's exactly what they've done. This is a complete arcade racer, so I'm not going to bitch and moan and cry and whine about it not being a sim racer. I'm just going to talk about this as an it shouldn't be called Project Cars, because Project Cars has been a sim racer, and it was crowdfunded to be that. So yeah, so this is an arcade racer, guys. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means you can just be a complete knob end on the actual track, and no one cares. In fact, you get complimented for it in this game. You really do. But before we go into all that, I have to say, guys, it has absolutely awful sound. I mean, the music's bad enough, but the actual car sounds are terrible. They're muted, they just don't sound good. The Ferrari sounded bloody awful. All of the Ferraris sounded awful, to be honest with you. I don't know what's gone on. The sound just seems to be so half-assed in this game. But there is a clue in the actual sound as to who this game is kind of aimed at. Let's see if you can guess the kind of person that this game is aiming for, just off this little sound bite. Also, making your character is just hilariously just so 2020. It's just blah. Absolute blah. But let's get on to the real stuff, guys. The force feedback's awful as well. It's just not as good as it was in Project Cars 2, and it wasn't even brilliant in that, but it's somehow managed to get worse. In fact, it felt like I didn't even have a forced feedback wheel. I'm using a Thrustmaster T300, and I had to turn it right up just to get any kind of feel on it, and even then it was still a little bit sloppy. Not brilliant, not brilliant. The rain, like I said, looks crap. It also feels like ice. In fact, everything feels like ice. You even look at the brake pedal and your car locks up. It's pretty much designed for drifting around corners and getting the back end out. It's the kind of, you can tell that the whole handling is off. It's just really off. But it's designed that way just so you can look cool and feel cool going around corners. Yeah, it's arcadey, but it's not as good as Grid, and that's the thing. Grid was way better at doing that than this is, and Grid looked a lot nicer than this as well. So it's not doing too good, is it, Chief? Now, the AI is my biggest gripe with this. It's just all over the place, the AI. It's violent. You can't turn it down, but it's still violent. This game brings a whole new meaning to Rubbin's Racing Kid. They are just nutters who will easily and happily knock you off the circuit. But you know what? You do the same to them, because no one gives a fuck on the track. It's just, you're just encouraged to kind of do it because they all do it. You get like a pack of cars and you just barge your way through, just like, get out my fucking way, you prick, and just, you don't care if you spin them off the circuit, you don't care whether you use them as a bit of a buffer to bounce off as you're going around a corner. You just do it because they do it to you all the time. And with the damage in the game being purely cosmetic, you don't care. You just barge everybody out the way. And another thing, it's almost like they don't even have clutches in their cars or gears. They seem to be all just faster than you on the straights. I mean, fair enough. There's balance in the sense that some cars, like here I'm racing against a Porsche 959 in an Aston Martin, and my Aston Martin isn't as fast as the 959 on the straight. So every time we come to a straight, it just creams my ass. That sounded a bit... But on the bends, I do them on the bends because I can go around the bends faster. But there are a lot of times when I'm using the same cars as everybody else and they just whiz past us on the straight. Like, it's almost cheating. There's no rubber banding as such, but they do cheat. And they handle weirdly as well. They seem to be able to go around corners miraculously. It's just, the AI is not great, guys. It's just not great. So, combine that with a bad interface, bad force feedback, and all the rest of the stuff. It's not too good, guys. There are some fun things in it. I quite like the upgrade system, bearing in mind that this is not me judging it as a sim racer. I like the way you get into this championship. They're very short. There's no qualifying either, guys. Oh my goodness. Mac, just forget it. It's not a sim racer, Mac. Shut up. There's no qualifying, guys. You start from the back and you only have 3 laps, and you can tweak all this in custom, but I'm talking about the championship races here. You've got to get to, you've got to score high to get XP, and you get other little bonuses for like overtaking people in a certain way or going around a corner properly. You get XP, which gives you better rank, which allows you to progress in the game. You also get cash to buy the cars that you're going to need for the next sort of class of race that you get. And I'll come to all the classes and cars and tracks in a second, but you do get to upgrade your cars in between the races, and it's a very, very simple, straightforward thing. You want a new air filter, that you get that new racing filter, and that will knock your car up a little bit in the classes. And if you get too far from the class that you're currently in, you can't use your car in that class anymore. It automatically goes into the next class. So you have to kind of be careful when you're upgrading your car, and I kind of like that. I do like the small championships as well, because again, it's fun for an arcade racer, and it does have a lot of cars. You can see endless classes of cars, and each class has multiple, well, most classes have multiple cars in that class. All your favourites is there, your Porsches, your Ferraris, your Lambos, your Astons and things like that. You've got vintage cars there, you've got concept cars, you've even got electric cars, or the Rimac is in there somewhere. So you've got all kinds of stuff going. All the cars sound like fucking electric cars, to be honest. You've got a load of tracks as well, loads and loads of tracks, including the classic Hockenheim circuit before it got butchered. So that's a big bonus as well. So there's a lot of content in there, but it's a £50 game, guys, and honestly, it's not the best arcade racer for £50. Grid is better than this. The AI is just letting this down. The VR lets it down. The frame rates on VR let it down. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad game. I mean, I'm not going to absolutely destroy it in the markings, because it isn't bad. I have had fun. I had a brilliant race in an F-Type against I think it was the Actually, it might have been against the Porsche in VR, and I really enjoyed it in the Scottish Highland. I think it's Scotland, one of the road tracks. It was just so much fun. Really enjoyed it. There's fun to be had here. And guys, can I just say, I should have said this at the top of the video. When you see any footage in this video from like third person, that's me using a controller. Anything else, I'm using a wheel and pedals. And when you see me head moving, that's when I'm using VR. So yeah, I'll label them on the screen with titles so you know. But yeah, it works fine with a controller. In fact, I actually did better with a controller, I think, because you get a much better view in third person, and with the car's handling so easily. And I had all the aids off, guys. I mean, I had all the aids off, so even with a control with all the aids off, the car kind of sticks on. I think I had stability control on. That was the only one I had on. Everything else is off on like pro level, and yeah, it's just. So there you go, guys. It's not dreadful, but it's certainly not great. It's certainly not even good. And for me, it's not even project cars anymore.